I've been babysitting since I was 15, and I've sat for a lot of families and a lot of houses, but there's exactly one night that still makes my hand go cold whenever I think about it. It happened when I was 19. It was a family I'd never worked for before. I picked up the job up through one of those sitting apps. It was a last-minute request with good pay and 2 kids, a boy who was 6 and a little girl who was 4. Already answered the door, half in her coat, keys in her hands, kind of frazzled and in a hurry. She walked me through the normal stuff. Bedtime, snacks, where the bathroom was. But right before she left, she stopped and she was very serious in a way that didn't match the rest of how rushed she'd been. And then she said, I need you to promise me one thing. Do not open the door for anyone tonight. It doesn't matter what they say. And then she said, I need you to promise me one thing. Do not open the door for anyone tonight. It doesn't matter what they say. If someone comes to this house, you don't answer it. You call me right away. And then she said something I have never had a parent do before or since. She walked around the ground floor and checked every single window latch and both doors before she left, testing them with her hand. I figured she was just a cautious mom. I told her, of course, no problem. And she and her husband left, and I locked the door behind them. The kids were easy. We watched a movie, I got them fed, and by 9 I had the little girl down and the boys was fading on the couch next to me. It was a good night, and then a little after 10, headlights swept across the front window as a car pulled over into the driveway. I heard the door shut, and a few seconds later, someone knocked on the front door, not aggressively but friendly. I froze because of what the mom had said, and I sat there hoping whoever it was would just go away. Then a man's voice came through the door, warm and easy. He said, I'm sorry it's late. I'm the kid's uncle. Their mom asked me to swing by and grab a few things for them. And here's what turned my stomach over. He said their names, both of them, Ryan and Ellie. He said, are they still up? To Ryan, it's Uncle Mike. And I looked over the couch, and the little boy Ryan was not feeding anymore. But then the boy was sitting bolt upright, wide awake, staring at the front door with a look in his face that I can only describe as a pure fear. He grabbed my sleeve and he whispered really quietly, don't let him in. He's not supposed to be here. I have never called a parent so fast in my life. The mom picked up on the first ring and I whispered that a man was at the door saying he was their Uncle Mike, and the line went silent for a second, and then she said in a voice that had gone completely flat and terrified, get the kids upstairs, lock the bathroom door and call the police right now. He's not their uncle. He's not allowed anywhere near them. We are coming. I did what exactly she said. I scooped up the boy, got the sleeping girl and locked us upstairs in the bathroom. And while I was on the line with 911, I could hear him downstairs still talking through the door in that same friendly voice, saying my name would come up, saying he just wanted to see the kids, and then the friendly voice started to go away. I heard him try the handle. I heard him walk around the side of the house. I heard him tap, tap, tap on the living room, testing it, the same window the mom had checked with her own head before she left. The police got there before the parents did. However he was gone by the time they pulled up, back into his car and down the street. The mom, when she got home, she was shaking. She didn't tell me everything, but she told me enough. There was a court order. There was a reason she checked every single window. On some level, she knew he might come. She just hadn't wanted to scare me. To this day, I think about the version of me where I hadn't promised her, where I just been polite and opened the door for a nice man who knew the kids' names. The next one is the reason I don't ignore a sound in a house anymore, even when I can't explain it. I was sitting for a family in this big older 2-story house, the kind with 100 little rooms and a basement and floors. A floors that talks to you when you walk on them. Just one kid this time, baby, maybe 10 months old, asleep outstairs in the nursery, so it was easy money honestly. I put the baby down around 8 and went back down to the living room to do the homework, with the video monitor on the coffee table next to me so I could see the crib, and around 9 I heard the sound upstairs, a soft thump from the direction of the bedrooms. My first thought was just the baby had stirred, so I glanced at the monitor and the baby was dead asleep, flat on its back, not moving, okay? It was old houses, and old houses settle. I went back to my homework. 10 minutes later, I heard it again. Except this time it wasn't a thump, it was a specific, unmistakable sound of a door closing. Not slamming, but easing shut. Slow and careful. The way you close the door when you don't want anyone to hear you. I sat very still and stared at the monitor, and the baby hadn't moved. And I told myself the heat had kicked in, a draft had pushed the door, anything. And then I noticed something on the monitor that made my whole body go cold. The nursery door in the background of the shot, behind the crib. When I put the baby down, I had left that door open, because I always leave it open so I can hear it. And now, on the screen, it was shut. Somebody has closed the nursery door from the inside. I did not go up those stairs to investigate, and thank God I didn't. I grabbed my phone and called the parents, and while it was ringing, I heard, clear as anything, footsteps across the floor above me, and adults' footsteps. The footsteps was slow and heavy, from the nursery across the hall. The dad answered, and I was already moving toward the door, and I said, as calmly as I could, there is someone upstairs in your house. I think they are in with the baby, and I don't have the baby. He said, get out of the house, get to your car, we're calling the police now, go. But I couldn't leave the baby, I couldn't. And I did the stupidest thing my body would let me to. I went up those stairs as fast and as quiet as I could. And the hallway was empty and the nursery door was shut. And I threw it open and the baby was there, still asleep, completely fine. And the window on the far side of the room was wide open with the curtain blowing. And it had been closed and locked when I put the baby down. I grabbed the baby and ran to the car and sat in my locked car in the driveway with the baby in my arms until the police came. When the police arrived, they found footprints in the flower bed under that window. Somebody had been in that house with me, upstairs, in the room with the baby, and the only reason I can think that they went out the window instead of coming down the stairs toward me is that I called out the dad's name when I was on the phone loudly, as loud as I can, and they thought he was home. I don't sit in houses I don't know anymore without walking every room first. The last one I can't explain, and honestly, I have never tried, because the explanation I'd have to accept is worse than just not knowing. I was babysitting for a couple down the street from where I grew up, watching their daughter, a little girl who was 3. She was a sweet kid, no trouble. They had one of those audio baby monitors, the old kind. It was just a sound, a little handset that crackled. I put her down for the night around 8, read her a book, and tugged her in. And I went downstairs with the monitor around 9:30. The monitor crackled, and I heard her, the little girl, talking. She was not crying or upset, she's just talking, in that low way little kids talk when they are playing. I listened for a second, and I could hear her saying, no, you do it, and then giggling, and then that silly, normal toddler stuff, talking to her stuffed animals, I figured, but then I heard the other voice. The voice came through the monitor soft and low, underneath hers, and it answered her. I couldn't make out the words, it was too quiet and too low, but the rhythm of it was unmistakable. It was a voice, taking turns with her, responding, and it was not a child voice, it was a deep voice. I sat there with the handset pressed to my ear and every hair on my arms standing up, telling myself it was interference. Another monitor bleeding over neighbor's house, the TV had left on, anything. And then, very clearly, through the crackle, I heard the little girl say, she can hear you now. And the deep voice said back to her, plain as day, the first and only words I understood all night. He said, I know. I dropped the monitor, I ran up those stairs and found the girl alone in her bed facing the corner. And then the girl turned and looked at me and smiled and she said, you scared him. But there was no one in the room. The windows was locked. The closet was empty. I checked and I checked everywhere. There was no one and nothing. And she was completely calm and happier than she'd been all night. I brought her downstairs with me and held her on the couch until the parents got home. And I did not tell them what I heard because what I would even say. But as they were bringing me at the door, the little girl, half asleep on her mom's shoulders, lifted her head and looked at me and said, the man in the corner said you have a nice voice. Her mom laughed and said, she's always talking about her friend. And she said it like it was the most normal thing in the world, like it was old news. Like they heard about the man in the corner many times before. I never sat for them again and I never told them why. If you made it all the way to the end, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe button and comment to support me. And thank you very much.